Hello, future leaders and lifelong learners. Are you ready to dive into the heart of Walsh University and the ever-evolving world of higher education? I'm Teresa Fox, and you're tuned in to the very first episode of Cav Chats. Here, we're not just talking, we're connecting you to the pulse of our campus and the headlines shaping universities everywhere. Think of Cav Chats as your backstage pass to the stories, the debates, and the innovations that matter to you most, right here at Walsh University and beyond. So whether you're a student, faculty, coach, administrator, or just passionate about higher ed, buckle up. In this episode, we're about to explore all things athletics and give you valuable insights on sports, leadership, and athletics in the NCAA Division II. You don't want to miss this, so let's get chatting. I'm delighted to have with me today our newest Vice President of Athletics and our Athletic Director, Miss Christina Paone. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be the first guest.
I know. We're so happy to have you here today. I know you had an early morning. You were overseeing things happening in the gym, and you're just a busy lady. So tell us about your role here at Walsh and what's it like to be the Vice President of Athletics here at Walsh?
It's awesome. I absolutely love the opportunity I've been given to continue to lead here at Walsh University. So I've been in that interim role since last December. Dr. Collins was kind enough to make that a for sure thing for me in January. So super grateful to continue to be here at Walsh.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Well deserved.
It's awesome. So for me in my role, I think, I touch on everything in athletics. So we have 27 athletic programs. Our largest class of student athletes this year, just under 800. So as you can imagine, we're very busy over in athletics. We are actually entering into crossover season right now. So that is when winter sports meet spring sports. So we are moving in all directions right now, keeping everything afloat over in athletics.
That's wonderful. And did you, when you were a little girl growing up, did you envision this future for yourself? What did your journey look like?
No, if I'm being honest, this was never my path or my plan. But I think sometimes opportunities are presented to you that you never expect. And this was that case for me. So I've always been a part of athletics in some space, whether I was playing or coaching growing up. And, 14 years ago, Dale Howard, the AD at the time, reached out to see if I would be interested in coming back and coaching. And at the time, I was 8 months pregnant with our second son. So really didn't think about how that would fit into just where our life was going. But for whatever reason, it just felt right. And I can't explain it in any way other than that. So everything kind of clicked and said yes. And fast forward 14 years later, here I am.
Wow, that's amazing. What an amazing journey. So, who were your role models in this field growing up?
Yeah, I obviously have to give credit to Dale because he gave me this opportunity. So I was a student athlete here at Walsh. I actually started the women's golf program back in 2003. So I definitely would never have been a part of this Walsh family if it wasn't for Jeff Young. He recruited me to come play golf here. So he was our coach that first year for us and then transitioned to the head men's basketball coach after that year. So I think both of them were instrumental in me being a part of Walsh. But then I would be remiss if I didn't shout out all the women leaders all over the country who have given me hope and inspiration and empowerment and encouragement to fight for a seat at the table. This year, I was blessed to be a part of a wonderful convention and group of women leaders across the country that really opened my eyes to a lot of possibilities. So they give me the energy I need every day to continue doing what I'm doing.
That's great. That's great. And here I'm learning something new. I didn't realize Jeff Young was ever a golf coach.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, for a while, it's for some time. So he started the women's program.
Jeff Young is our esteemed basketball coach, and so for many, many years, award-winning coach. Sure. Who knew? I didn't be learning new things, so that's great. So I'm sure it can be challenging in this role, especially as things are really changing and emerging in NCAA sports all the time. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing?
Yeah, I think like you just said, our world changes almost daily. And so it's making sure that us at Walsh, our staff, is being up to date on all those changes. I will give a shout out to our conference office and NCAA Division II as well. They are always keeping us updated and informed and educated when the news is breaking so that we can all be current with how that's going to be impacting us on our campus. And it's just being mindful of how those things may or may not affect us and then how we take position on that.
And I know you have a full-time compliance officer, right? I'm sure it's tedious following. I hear the binder is pretty thick.
The binder is thick. Yeah, that is a fact.
So Walsh University has 27 sports, 750 athletes. That's a big chunk of our total population. What's new in Walsh athletics?
Yeah, I think everything is really exciting as always in athletics, right? We're coming off of a really successful fall season. Women's cross country are GMAC champions, which is phenomenal. It's one of the strongest women's programs we've had in a couple years. Obviously, with the addition of men's and women's rugby, that made our fall feel a little different on our campus. I mean, you were there, you saw that.
Oh my goodness, that was amazing.
It
We're
was.
going to dive into that in a second.
Okay, cool. Football again had just a phenomenal fall season. Their most winning season since we've been Division II, coming off of a historic first win over Ashland. So a lot of really positive things happening in the fall, and obviously we're in the thick of winter sports and heading into spring, so we're excited.
So let's dive into that rugby story. That's really sort of a miraculous story. I know we brought the entire Notre Dame rugby team down, which there were a lot of logistics involved with that, and I think they're still playing, but maybe finished their fall season. So let us know how that's been going so far.
It has been remarkable. And I say that with this big smile on my face. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but everything about the whole process has been so refreshing. These student athletes have brought a different perspective to our campus. Their energy is infectious. The culture of their programs is something that should be emulated around, all of athletics. And I think that they're just grateful to be here, and we're grateful to have them. Watching them compete and succeed, wearing maroon and gold this past fall was something to be seen. So we're really excited to see what the spring unfolds for both of those programs, and then the success that they're going to have moving forward.
And I think we retained a good majority of the team. Most of the team did, correct? I know they had some seniors.
We did, yeah.
That's amazing. So kudos to you and everyone who really helped make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, it was really a university thing, not just an athletic thing. I think it was about this time last year when we actually started that conversation to potentially look to bring them to Walsh. So crazy where we've come in 12 months.
So let's turn our focus a little bit. I know all over the media we're hearing so much about this dreaded transfer portal, and I know that it's definitely impacting our athletics department. So is it really as bad as they say? Tell us about the transfer portal and how it's impacting our athletic program.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a unique thing. It's impacting people all over the country. I think it's changed how we recruit, how our coaches are having to do their job every single day. Back before the portal opened, there wasn't so much accessibility to leave so freely. But now it's almost like the snap of a fingers, right? They can choose to leave and bounce around. So when recruiting, we recruit with the intention for these students to be here for 4 years, right? You're trying to build a culture and a program and sustain this family environment. And the portal has really just kind of busted that wide open. So our coaches have been doing such a fantastic job to just stay on the path. But it's inevitable, it's all around us, unfortunately.
And from what I understand, it's not just the best athletes. It can be the underplayed athletes or the freshmen. I mean, really, it's the entire.
Yeah. I mean, if I could say, the grass isn't always greener. I think there is some misunderstanding on what the portal actually is for our student athletes. So, our compliance staff and ourselves, when these kids are coming to us and they are expressing interest in joining the portal, we're really trying to educate them on what that actually looks like, because they're just seeing what they see on social media, right? From TikTok to Instagram, whatever these athletes are posting, and that's what they're believing, but that might not be reality. So I think there's a lot of education that goes into just really, truly understanding what the portal is.
Because just because you go on the portal doesn't mean you're going to get picked, right?
That's true, yeah.
They have to come find you and do a lot of digging. And
I think that's where the misunderstanding is. Some of these kids will come and have conversations and with the expectation that, all their stats are going to be on the portal and all the information from their time here or wherever university they're, and that's simply not the case. And so it's really starting the recruiting process over for them. So they have to do a lot of the legwork when they put themselves in the portal to outreach to these coaches.
And so now we have another complication with the name, image, likeness. I'm sure that's another hurdle and just another thing to add to what you're balancing. So from what I understand, students can get sponsored. So how does that work, and how do you balance that with the transfer portal as well?
Yeah, so again, that's another thing that's really blowing up on social media. So they're seeing all these athletes getting these just crazy deals. We're talking millions of dollars some of these student athletes are making off of NIL deals. We obviously aren't seeing that here at Walsh, but we do have a number of athletes that have smaller deals, whether it's 10% off a product or anything like that. We obviously want to grow that space on our campus, so we're definitely investing and looking into what that could look like in the future for our athletes here at Walsh. Um, but it's really blowing up at the Division 1 level, so it's kinda crazy.
Well, we're thankful to be Division 2 for now, so we don't have to worry about it as much, but still something to keep an eye on.
For sure.
Our athletes, from what I understand, excel on and off the field. Their GPA is higher than the national average.
Okay.
So, how do you ensure that our athletics thrive academically as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all starts with the coaches, they're the leaders of those programs, so they're the ones that implement, how that funnels down to their student athletes and set those expectations at the beginning of the year. And shout out to our coaches because 'cause they're fantastic and they put in the time and effort, and I think they all are so committed to what they're doing with their athletes and just Walsh as a whole. And yeah, we want the wins on the course or the court or the field or whatever we're doing, but for me to see our student athletes have that academic success with the athletic success, that's Division 2. That's life in the balance. They're able to be successful on both sides. So that's really what we're trying to do here.
And as a Catholic university, it's more than just about winning.
Yeah.
I know that from top to bottom. So how do we measure success?
Yeah, I mean, we just touched on it academically. That's a big point for us. But I think community service is really big for us here at Walsh, and that's something that I feel we do really, really well. Whether that's through initiatives sponsored by SAC or just teams kind of going out on their own and doing community service. A lot of our teams actually have organizations that they choose to frequent year in and year out just because they've built that relationship and they really truly enjoy going there and getting that experience for their student.
I have to tell you a story. I was with the baseball team last year. The Better Business Bureau here in Canton has their signature event, which is a shred day where people come and bring boxes and boxes and boxes of paper to recycle, and it's a lot of legwork. It's a lot to lift, and it's 4 hours of the day, and there's not even a restroom. And the baseball team came out and just hustled for 4 hours, and they were so polite with these senior citizens. And the Better Business Bureau is still talking about that a year later. They were so impressed with their behavior and just their attitude and the character that they have. And I'm sure you see that a lot with other athletes.
So that's great.
So that brings me to another point. We're in a landscape now where the nation is divided politically. There's just so much divisiveness, but yet sports is one of the unifiers. Sports can bring folks together, and students are expected to be a team and work together and put their differences aside. So, how do we foster that here at Walsh University? And what is the athletic culture like here?
Yeah, I think if you're ever over in our building at any day, at any point in time, you'll see all of our coaches just kind of bopping around, checking on everybody. And I think that's, really kudos to them. We've created and still are creating this family environment over there. We have a lot of coaches that have been here for quite some time. We have a lot of coaches on our staff that are alum of Walsh. So they're tied to this community far past what they're doing as coaches. And so I think it's really just about supporting each other. And we've done that really, really well over the past few years. And we're really intentional when we're trying to create opportunities within our department, whether it's staff meetings, doing things for our student athletes, creating opportunities just to even lunch together. But I think it's just making sure that everyone feels supported. So I think we do a pretty good job of that.
That's great. That's great. And you can tell that we have a wonderful sports program. Our students seem to really thrive and love it. And especially with all the temptations with the NIL, it's just critical the values that we espouse to maintain that and keep them here. So well done and kudos to you. And now we're heading into spring. So what does our spring sports outlook look like?
Well, if the weather was a little better outside, we'd be more excited. Baseball and softball were supposed to open up this weekend, but both of those events got postponed with the snow and the cold, unfortunately, rolling in. Baseball is actually picked first in the South for the preseason coaches poll. Women's lacrosse was also picked first, so really excited there. This is the first year that they're also getting the AQ in their sport. So if they win their conference championship again, they'll be able to compete in postseason, which we're super pumped for them about that. Expect big things out of men's lacrosse under David Salter's guidance there. I'm really excited for them. They actually open up their season here tomorrow. Again, wish the weather was a little better for them, but that's lacrosse season. Men's and women's tennis is off to a really good start, and we're really excited to see what softball does.
And I can't wait for the fall, too. I know football's coming up, one of their best seasons ever. So
Yes.
let's just hope for another winning season. Go Cavs.
Go Cavs.
So finally, I just want to ask you on a personal note, what does it mean to you to hold this leadership position in a male-dominated field?
That's a great question. Actually, a lot of people have asked me that lately. Even when I took over, the men's program 5 years ago, my brother was one of the first people to call me. He said, "Christina, do you realize you're one of 2% females in the country coaching the male sport?" And at the time, I didn't like think about it. But that kind of resonated with me, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's a really low number." And then to put myself in this position to lead as a female, just takes me back to that moment because I know it's not an opportunity given to everyone. But I am so proud to be here, not only as an alum, but a female. And I just want to champion for all other women who are actively searching for leadership opportunities, whether it's in athletics or whatever path they're choosing. I look at myself as obviously I'm a woman, but that's never really how I thought about what I'm doing. I'm just doing what I love, and I just happen to be doing it as a woman. So here I am.
That's amazing. And what advice would you give to young women who maybe aspire to be in your role one day?
Yeah, I think don't be afraid to do things that make you uncomfortable. I think if I would have said no years ago to opportunities that were presented to me here, I might not be sitting in this seat as uncomfortable as I was, or not really knowing what that role looked like, or really even how to do the job. I just kind of said yes, figured it out, and marched along. And so, in the past, 4 or 5 years here, I've had a number of those chances, and I've always just said, yes, I will take that, and I will run with it. And here I am.
Awesome. Awesome. And on that note, I will say, Christina, it's been a delight. I'm honored to have you as our first guest on our pilot episode of Cav Chats. And we just wish you well and congratulations to you. And as we say here at Walsh University, swords up.
Swords up. Thank you so much.
Signing off on Cav Chats. Thank you.
Thanks.